All right, so sorry for the interruption again. I'm not quite sure what's going on with our Zoom meeting, but we're gonna go back into our workout here, starting with rotational reverse lunges, okay? So I'll show you guys from the front view, just so you can get a better understanding here. But what we're gonna do is start with both of our feet together, step back, and as I come down, I'm gonna twist and come back up. Okay, so again, just stepping back, twisting down, and coming up. Getting a little bit of rotational work through the legs, practicing a little bit different stability. And a couple of different muscles, different way of loading the muscles. Still want to keep that weight over the midpoint of the foot as we work through. Let's get a few more. And switch legs. Couple more. And good. All right, next up, we're gonna do our squat to extensions. So standing with our feet hip width apart, we're gonna squat down, dragging the hips back, keeping the weight over the heels, and extending up, popping up onto our toes as we come up. Okay, so again, from the side, we're gonna squat down and pop up, extending our hands up above the head and getting up onto our toes. Getting a nice full extension through the body. Let's get a few more. And done. Good. Next up, we're going to do our prone A's. So getting down onto our mat, laying down onto our chest. You're going to bring the hands down by the hips. And right here, you're going to pull the shoulders down away from the ears as you pop the chest up. Hands come up as well. We're going to hold for 3 to 5. Come down and pop back up. Coming up, pulling those shoulders away from the ears. Really pinching those shoulder blades together and packing the back down together. Let's get a few more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our snow angels. So starting with our hands out in front, we're going to pick the hands up, sweep out, come around, and back up. Extending all the way out. I'm slightly limited on space here, so I'm shortcutting my right side, but you want to get those arms all the way extended out as the chest comes up off the ground. Getting those hips behind, hands behind the hips. Let's get a few more here. Last one. And down. Good. Next up, we have our push-ups. Okay. So here we're going to do nice and easy eccentric kneeling push-up. So working on the down phase, we're just gonna go nice and slow, focusing on controlling the weight as we lower it down. Nice and in control. Even weight through the hands. Lowering nice and gentle. Getting a quick, fast press back up. A few more. And done there. All right, now we're going back to those rotational reverse lunges. Okay, so we're going to be standing up on our feet, getting some good work here as we step back and rotate through. Switching legs, twisting side to side. Really keeping that weight over the midpoint of the foot. A few more. Oh, lost my balance. And done. All right, nice job. Now we're gonna get into our squat to extension. So squatting down and extending up. Hands come up, popping up onto the toes. All in one fluid, explosive extension. Trying to keep the weight back through the heels as you squat down. A few more. And good. Okay, now we've got our prone A's. So, laying down onto our mat, getting our hands by the hips, and extending up, holding, and coming down, moving through. Nice and easy, pulling those shoulders away from the ears, pinching them together as we pull back. Let's get a few more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our snow angels. So hands out in front. We're going to be sweeping out to the side, coming back around, and coming down. And finished. Okay, next up, we've got our push-ups. All right, so getting our hands below the shoulders, we're gonna lower our body down and press back up. Working nice and slow on that down phase. Controlling the weight from left hand to right hand, being nice and even as we lower the chest down. Let's go a few more. And finish. Good. Now, we're going to go one time through our second circuit for the sake of time here. Again, my apologies about the connection. I'm not sure what's happening with Zoom, or maybe it's my internet, but something's cutting out and canceling the class mid-class, and it's very frustrating. But lo and behold, let's do our second circuit here, one time through. We're going to start with our RDLs, okay? So if you have a problem with stability and balance, or you find it hard to bring that leg all the way back up, like I do, then you can do a kickstand RDL, how we call it, by getting your knee slightly bent, supporting the body weight a little bit with the toes, but getting most of your weight here on this leg. Then you're going to drive the hips back, kind of like you're closing the door with your butt. Say if you got like a bunch of groceries in your hand, you got to close your front door after walking into your house. You're going to scoot your butt back, boom, close the door, really hinging at the hip there. And go ahead and switch legs. You haven't already. Good. Nice job. Next up, we're going to go into our quadruped cars. So getting down onto our hands and knees, we're going to get our hands directly below the shoulder. And keeping your shoulders facing the ground, you're going to extend one hand up about over your head, turning the palm out, and coming down to the hip. Once you're at the hip, change direction, rotate that palm back out, and flip it back inside. Switching hands, palm facing inwards, flipping up once you get to the shoulder, opening out, and rotating back in, down towards the hip. Switching directions, opening up, twisting, and coming back down. Remember, you want to keep your chest and your shoulders facing the ground as much as possible, so you're not opening up the chest, but keeping everything pointed down. And finish. All right. Next up, we're going to do our plank rotations. So bringing the knees up and feet back and spreading out just a little bit wide. We're going to come up with one hand, rotating, opening up the chest, coming back down and moving back and forth. Extending those hands up, above, reaching high in towards the ceiling. Really engaging that core to help stabilize. I know we're moving through the plank here, but try and keep the hips from shifting as little as possible. That's where the challenge comes and the work gets done. A few more. And finish. Nice job, everybody. We're gonna go into our stretching portion of today and get you guys out of here. The first one we're gonna do is our thread the needle stretch. So getting again into our favorite, the quadruped position. We're gonna bring one arm underneath the armpit, dropping the shoulder down, getting a nice stretch through the back, and then rotating up, just like we were in those plank rotations. We're just giving ourselves a little stretch through the shoulder first. And rotating up. Okay, and on this last one, we're gonna keep our arm down on the floor. We're gonna bring our other hand up and around to the opposite hip and try and open up the chest. So we can get a little shoulder stretch through both sides here, a little bit of rotational work through the spine. And bringing that hand back up and over and switching sides. Going back to the thread the needle, stretching out the back and rotating up. One more. Extending the arm through, and then we're going to bring that arm up and over to the opposite hip. Trying to push that hand into the hip, opening up the shoulder. Feeling that stretch right in the front of our top shoulder. And coming back up, bringing ourselves up. We're gonna go into our runner's stretch or our hurdler stretch. Extending one leg out, bringing one leg back, ankle next to the hip, bending that knee and lowering the body down. Feeling a nice stretch through the quad and the hip flexor. Nice deep breaths in, trying to keep those hips and shoulders flat on the ground. You can't get all the way on the ground without extreme discomfort. You can always pop up onto your elbows or onto your hands and slowly work your way down. This can be a very intense stretch and also hard to get out of if you're not used to it. Go ahead and switch sides. Deep breaths in and out. And coming out, extending out the leg and finishing our routine. Thank you guys so much for coming in. As always, you can check the rest of our SharePoint schedule for any of our other amazing classes. Yeah, appreciate you guys coming in. Have a great weekend. See you around.